Hey everyone, and welcome to this little tutorial on how to texture one single side of a cube in Unity. And when I say of a cube, I'm talking about primitive cubes. So let's add a cube here to our scene. Let's reset its position. So let's double click on it so we focus on it. Okay, nice. So we got this cube here, and we want to apply an arrow texture, but just to one single side. So let's take that texture here, import it into Unity, and let's create a material. So create material, and we are going to use this, let's call this material arrow, and let's drag and drop this texture here. If it would, come on, onto the albedo. Okay, we got this. So let's look at the preview here. When we look at the preview of the cube, it's going to apply that arrow, unfortunately, to all sides of the cube. And one of the reason why it does that is that Unity's primitive cube has bad UV mapping. All the UVs are laid on top of each other. If you don't know what UV mapping is, just look it up. It's a completely different topic. I'm not going to go into it. So the solution, well, there's two solutions. Either you get a properly UV mapped cube. You can easily do that by opening Blender, starting a new project. When you create a new project, it automatically creates a new cube, and you just save it, and it's going to be properly UV mapped. You just import it into Unity. Now that's a little bit of work. You could also go onto any kind of asset store or asset website for making games or prototypes, and it's definitely going to have some proper cube models out there. But if you're lazy, if you don't want to do that, or if you just want to go quickly about it, there's the solution. And the solution, so first let me show you. Indeed, we got this arrow on all sides. So instead of doing that, we're going to add an extra quad to our cube. So let's set back the default material to this cube, and let's create a child, and it's going to be a quad. I'm using a quad and not a plane because quads only have 2 triangles, where planes have 200 triangles. So if you want to bust your performance, then you can always use a plane instead. But if you're worried about performance, then quad is probably the better option. Let's rotate the quad around X 90 degrees and position at Y 0.5 so that it lines up exactly on the same face as the top face of our cube. And now let's apply our texture. Oh, little problem here, because we have a rendering issue. Well, the reason for the rendering issue is that we're exactly aligned with the side of the cube. That's a little bit of annoying. So let's move it up just a little bit by 0, 0, 1, like that. Second thing we want to do, we want to get rid of the mesh collider, because otherwise it's going to mess up our physics of our cube. We don't need that mesh collider. We want to use the collider of the cube. So let's remove that. Now, next thing, you can see that this arrow is a little bit fuzzy. And to solve that, we can actually change in the import settings of the texture and change the filter mode from bilinear to point and apply. Now, the arrow looks a little bit bad is because, well, it's a PNG file, and the file is just bad. The texture itself, the image is not really great. But hey, it is what it is, right? Let's change the color of our arrow. Let's go here and change this to red. Let's improve performance a little bit more by going into shader and changing this to a particles standard surface shader instead of a more complex standard shader. This is also going to boost performance a little bit. And now let's say we have a nice texture that is actually grayscaled. So we get black and white and only that. So we can also change this. Go into the alpha source, change the alpha source in the import settings from grayscale. Say alpha is transparency and apply. Now we got the whole thing red because we need to change the rendering mode from opaque to cutout. And there you go. Now we got a nice cube with an arrow on only one single side. And if we rotate the cube, the arrow moves along with us. And if we scale it horizontally, vertically, or whatever, it's always going to follow because the quad is a child of the cube. And there you go. This is how you do this. Hope you liked it and see you next time.